down here in my basement, get my hammer. I'm thinking the most frequently asked question people ask me is, should I sell my house as is, or should I do some repairs? So let's get right to it. I've helped thousands of home sellers on how to make these small, low-cost fix-ups. I'm going to share them with you. These are my secrets, guys. You're going to get all my secrets. Because the last thing I want is you to throw money down. So, I love this thing. It's such a great visual because that's what it's like. It's like selling home as is or not, you know? And at the end, if you stay at the end, I will tell you a list of the 5 most frequently asked questions about repairs, okay? So let's get to it. So I think the first thing to talk about is the timeline. Like, there's a problem with your timeline when you're thinking about as is a repair. Think about the timeline. Because if you get into like a late stage panic and, oh my God, I could get this house on the market. People call me right away. Like, they have no time to make preparations. You lose a lot of money right there. I need to sell next month. They're not leaving me any time for strategic improvements. So what happens when you start too late, you leave money in your home. It happens all the time. It's pretty simple. Your potential profit remains locked in your property because you didn't give yourself enough time to unlock it. That's why I tell people you gotta call months and years in advance. Start your home planning early. It's what you do with your stocks and your financial advisor. It's just like anything else. So get that timeline going, because late stage issues that you won't have time to complete the repairs, just little low cost things that buyers will notice right away, and you'll pay premium for the rates for rush jobs from contractors, and then you'll make emotional decisions rather than strategic ones. All these things, and you'll waste money on improvements that don't matter to buyers. You see it all the time. So what's the ideal timeline? Well, I'm thinking, for me, I like 6 to 12 months before you tend to sell. It's not my opinion. I just see it based on the difference between those who plan, those who don't. A quick example, I had a client come to a seminar, and he knows from my seminar, you have to call me earlier than you think. Call me a year in advance, and we put all together the fix-up plan. We got this out, the contractor, the painter, the this and that, all these things I want to talk about, and they made, I think it was $38,000 more. Now, another guy about a block and a half away sees this sign go up, calls me up right away and says, I need to sell my house. I'm like, okay, well, let's get to it. Came over and nothing was done. There's stuff everywhere and they want to go on the market now 3 weeks because they're moving, they're relocating. So they didn't have a lot of time to do things and they didn't get the rewards that the other seller got. So then what kind of approach should you have towards these repairs? I'm saying a more strategic approach, okay? It's more of a guided one. It's not like selling any other thing. I believe you need someone by your side, someone who knows what today's buyers notice and what they value, top producing realtor in your area, like myself. I'm a top producing realtor in the Philly and the burbs. All I do is listings, right? And I can refer you to somebody if you don't have anybody in your town. Just refer to somebody in Texas. I actually did this room by room that I do on video with them, giving them all their updates and then telling the realtor what to do. So it was pretty amazing, but they were really thankful and they sold their home for top dollar. They were very, very happy. And if you click down below, if you see that link down below, it talks about agent referral. That's what you can do. Just give me your email address, phone number, tell me where you live, and I can try to put you together with an agent. Now, what is this thing I'm talking about, this walkthrough? It's called a room by room review, where you literally walk through each room and figure out what improvements need to be made. And we make a list, ones that will give you the highest return on investment. I'm not saying you're gonna do anything. This is just a list, okay? First you start with a list. It's an overall plan, okay? And what we do with the list, we just prioritize it. Prioritize it based upon what matters most to the buyers in the current market that you're in. And then after the review is over, you're gonna get this list and they're gonna categorize it by the return on investment and urgency. But we don't do anything after that. We don't do anything. We wait until we get estimates for all these repairs to make decisions. These are informed decisions, not guesswork, okay? A calculated approach to maximizing your return. So I did a little loom, a little screen share of one of our staging cost sheet. And I'm gonna send you over to that video real quick. Take a look at this. Okay, an example, here's one of the houses we staged, and there's a list of contractors, the work that was done, the cost estimate, whether it was paid, who paid, and comments. Then we have a cost. First, we start off with a cost breakdown. So this is the sheet of all the different things, Marconi's quote, Tony's quote, Dave's quote, Tim's quote, I read all the quotes. and we decide which ones do we want to do. Which one are we quoting and what are we electing to do? You notice we didn't elect to do that. And maybe we didn't elect to do some of these other things as blank. Or we didn't do this thing, right? So you elected not to do it. And then there's all the expenses are then put in here and as we pay them. This is an example of the cost sheet that we use and what you want to do with your listing. Isn't that cool? You know, you put it all down there, things you're going to do, not sure of, based upon the cost. All about the cost. Because when it boils down to it, selling your house is expensive. And when you're working with an agent, you have to watch out for those commission breath agents, those who just want you to sell your home, get it on the market quickly because they have to make a mortgage payment, okay? They'll tell you your home looks great. And I'm saying you need repairs, okay? So what's the truth? The truth is that professional experience and expertise really matters. How do you know how many homes that realtor sold? Based upon how maybe a top producer would see it. You want them to look at your house through the eyes of a buyer and be honest with you and reveal exactly what low-cost fix-ups could you do to have a high return on investment, right? Isn't that what's most important? And who you don't want to listen to is your painter or your contractor who's never sold a home, okay? Because, oh yeah, you should paint this color. And like, no, they haven't sold any homes. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right things in your house. Okay, now I'm going to talk about low-cost fix-ups in the inside that will guarantee you a high return on investment. Okay, we'll start there first. First thing I'm going to talk about, I don't think it's in any particular order, it's just coming up in my mind because I just did lights in someone's house, is lighting, you know. So updating light fixtures is one of the highest return on investment improvements you can make. Buyers, they immediately notice outdated fixtures and the cost to replace them is minimal. So let's get rid of them. You want to make a first impression. What do you focus on? Chandeliers or pendant lightings that set the tone for the entire home. Look at these pendant lights that were in this house. They were dark and it was an opening, and then we replaced them with these pendant lights. Here's the before and after of these pendant lights on this house. You see the after, they're lighter, they're more modern. You see the difference. It was an older woman who lived there, so she liked the darker colors on the lights. Next, we have bathroom vanity lights. You remember those Hollywood? I talked about that a little earlier. These Hollywood style strip lights. See, look at this photo of the Hollywood strip lights and look at the after. I mean, it made such a difference in this bathroom, didn't it? It's amazing. Next, we have kitchen lighting, particularly those outdated fluorescent box lights. That's pretty bad. What we normally like to do is kind of get rid of that, patch up the ceiling and put in a flush light to the ceiling or maybe some recessed lights. But bottom line, fluorescent lights are outdated and the cost to replace them is minimal. Ceiling fans, get your hammer out. They should be modern and match the home style. Here I'm going to show you a picture of a before, dark, really old ceiling fan and after. It makes a big, huge difference. Next, we have electrical updates. When we do our pre-inspection report, it's always on there. It could be simple as replacing a yellow or almond colored outlet and switches with white ones like this picture I'm showing you here. You see the yellow one and the white one. What looks better, guys? The white, and that's what most people think and they like. It's inexpensive and buyers will see that white and they'll think, oh, this house has been updated. That's how shallow some of these buyers are out there. And next, this is one of my other favorite, is paint. Paint has, I think, the highest return of investment of almost any improvement. I think sometimes returning 5 to 10 times its costs. I can't emphasize this enough. Do not paint your walls white with no differential between the walls and the ceiling. There needs to be some differential. I'm going to show you a picture of a house that I just got listed, and this is what the realtor did ahead of time. The white walls and white ceilings, the seller went and painted the house white based on their suggestion. Well, it was bad, and this house sat and sat and sat, and now it's my turn to take the listing over and sell it in 3 days. Very excited about it. This is where my specific color recommendations come in. The right neutral colors, it just makes your space feel a little larger, inviting. So there are many areas that will benefit from fresh paint. I could spend a whole video just on paint. I actually have done. I did a video about paint colors, but this one's about what to paint and what color. So first of all, let's talk about paneling. Outdated wood paneling needs to be transformed. If you take a look at this photo, doesn't the paneling look so much better, the walls, without the paneling? Just paint it or get rid of the paneling and just put drywall up. but it's easier just to paint it. Just paint it. You can make so much money by just getting rid of dark anything. Garage floors and walls, that's my signature. It just makes all these spaces look clean and maintained. Check out this garage before and after this garage. I mean, amazing. Look at it, all the stuff there. Go in these houses and all the stuff, it looks like this before picture. But then we look at the after picture, it feels like a model home. See, my book, Model Home Mindset, I just wrote, talks about getting your home looking like a model home. And one way to do that is painting the garage. That is a big way of getting a lot of eyeballs and people really emotionally loving your home. It goes with basements too. Basement and garages, they're the things. You know, paint the concrete floors. Here's a picture of a house. Basement wasn't bad, but when we painted it, it just came to life. It just feels bright and airy versus dull and dingy. Inside the closets, shows attention to detail. You know, it's a closet that's painted and uncluttered to a closet that's, just looks better. There's a lot in closets, you have a lot of those scrapes on the walls. Kitchen cabinets, oh my gosh. Check out this picture I did on this house. The cabinets were dark and we just painted them white and put new handles on them and it looked amazing, okay? I'm looking at this picture and the before and after, it's like absolutely really transformed that kitchen. So let's talk about bathroom updates. Beyond the lighting and painting, huge returns, you could get a new toilet seat. Small thing, but buyers will notice that. You don't want this old dingy toilet seat like this. You want to have a newer toilet seat, like this one. How about the caulk around the tubs and sinks, eliminating appearance of mildew or neglect? Check out this picture I got that had lots of mildew. And people show houses like that all the time. And then after it all painted, all the mildew taken off. And we just took caulk and just re-caulked the whole thing. How about your towel bars or your toilet paper holder? Minimal cost, gives you a modern look. I really like that. New shower curtain and bath mat for showing is really important. It just enhances the space. We do that for all of our bathrooms that have cruddy little, shower. And we have shower curtains in our staging room that we bring in and out of houses. And then we have floors. Well, on this kitchen here on Edgecombe, we put in the vinyl plank floors over this vinyl floor. Now, it looks great. Look at this picture. It's amazing, the difference, right? And of course we painted the cabins. Now, you don't have to do this for all the flooring, just target your improvements to areas where people like kitchens and baths. That's the main thing. How about those carpets? Do they need to be cleaned or replaced? People don't want to go in the house and the carpets have dirt and grime on it. Even if you clean it and it doesn't come out, people don't want to see it. They're like, oh my God, this is how they live there? They don't want to know. They still want to know, so don't let them know. How about the hardwood floors? Maybe you have a carpet that was over the hardwood floors, right? And maybe your hardwood floors are scratched, or they showed this discoloration between what was under the carpet, the area rug, and then on the outside of the area rug. Let me show you a house where there was this discoloration because there was a rug there for many years. So the before and after is amazing, and it doesn't cost that much, especially in a higher end home. A lot of these homes, they have this big area rug, and underneath it looks beautiful, but on the outside, all the sun got to it, and the floors look terrible. That is something I would spend money on. How about the door hardware upgrades? You can take your outdated doorknobs all throughout the house and replace them with a modern brushed nickel. Don't use the black, unless I tell you to. For most of them, we use the brushed nickel. It instantly upgrades your home. I think it's a one-day project and it makes a lasting impression. Or maybe your kitchen or bathroom cabinets, they have awful knobs, replace them. Or maybe they have no knobs. I call them naked cabinets. It just really looks bad. So here's a picture I took of a kitchen that had just no knobs at all. It looks naked, doesn't it? It looks like it's missing something. And then ones with the same cabinets with the brushed nickel knobs. Looks good, huh? Okay, I have other interior upgrades, but I just want to get to, I'm in here in my basement, so I want to get out of the basement, but I want to talk about exterior low-cost fix-ups that have a good higher return on investment next. I believe that's where first impressions are. They're on the outside, because when you get that listing on your phone, you click through it, you're looking at outside photos first, and you're doing it very fast, right? They make their initial decision, buyers, before they even get out of their car, before they even look at the inside pictures. They're making these decisions, so the exterior must be just as nice as the interior. Probably nicer to create that positive expectation. So what do we need to do on the exterior? Well, it's obvious: power washing, driveways, walkways, It doesn't cost $350 to $500 to rent one or have somebody do it for you. It's visual impact that will help you get thousands of dollars back. And then what about your roof? What about your roof? If you have moss or algae growing on it, it could suggest there's some roof problems, even when there really aren't any. So check out this roof before with the algae and then after. Pretty good. It makes me feel better that the house is not falling apart. Or siding that has a lot of dirt on it. This is a yellow siding, and we took this yellow siding and we power washed it. I didn't do it, a contractor did it, and it became not bad. It looked pretty nice. So what are some other curb appeal things? Clean gutters. If your gutters are overflowing, it's a signal of neglect to buyers. Fresh mulch in all the beds. A lot of mulch is being sold right now for houses. Get your house, get some mulch before it all runs out. It's the cheapest visual improvement with the biggest impact. Colorful flowers near the entrance. We use silk flowers in the winter. If it's nice out, get your regular flowers. It creates an emotional connection. Trim your trees and bushes. Prune your trees. Make sure they're not overgrowing and hitting the buyer in the head while they're walking to the front door. It just feels kind of neglect. What about when you're walking through the front door, the whole walkway is cracked, the whole cement walkway. Take a look at this walkway, cracked and then fixed. You just need new cement. What I love to do with walkways, especially cement stoops or even patios, concrete paint is inexpensive. It just transforms the whole concrete. It makes it look like brand new. I love this idea. Here's a photo of a walkway before, and here's one after, and I use like a tan paint. That's kind of a distorted little color, but I like the tan or the gray, either one. Or so if there's cracks, you want to fill it in with mortar. But for me, I would just, if you have a crack, you fill it in and then paint it. Now check your township regulations. What's what we do when we list your house? Because township requirements for sidewalks, if you have a crack on your sidewalk or on your apron repair or your curbing, you have to fix it before settlement. You can do an escrow for it, but it's a lot of money. That curbing around your house, if you have a corner lot or something, it could be thousands of dollars. What about your fence and you have a shed? Does it need to be rehabilitated? These structures, they speak volumes about home maintenance. If your fence needs to be repaired or painted, a wobbly fence suggests structural problems. So you want to clean out your shed, repair your shed, paint your shed. You really don't want them to be an eyesore. You want them to be an asset. You can consider just removing the shed if it's in poor condition. When we had this house, it's like a shed with wood in it, and when they first had it listed with the other realtor, I just get rid of it. So here's a picture before and after of this wood shed, and it was like, oh. And I have many, many other pictures of sheds that we just painted on the outside. This look amazing, and it's not that expensive. And what about your front door? I think your front door is a centerpiece for your curb appeal. A fresh coat of paint on the door, or just change the color. You don't want any red or green or blue. I've been using my secret weapon color on the outside, doors and shutters, is an awesome color. It's Benjamin Moore Iron Mountain. Take a look at this door. When they listed it with the other realtor, it was red shutters, red door, and we just sold this house for $160,000 more. We did a lot of stuff inside, but we just changed the front picture. And just by painting the door and the shutters with this Iron Mountain. It was amazing color. I've been using it for all my homes. And also power washing your front door. Make sure there's no cobwebs. You want to make it look impeccable. And your outside lights. Hey, if your outside lights just replace them. They're too old. It's hard to make them look better. Outside lights, really difficult. New lights are really cool. People love it. How about painting the outside of your house? What if it's a red or a bold color? You got to make it look better, or a green, or you just want a neutral color. It just looks better to the wider pool of buyers. If painting of the full house isn't on your budget, maybe just focus on the shutters and your doors, your trim. Just make it look crispier. I call it crispier. Or maybe your garage doors need to be painted, or maybe they have cracks on it, or the trim's fallen off. Fix that as well. So all these exterior things, the garage, the shutters, the front door, the mulching, all that stuff is really, really important. And when people see the outside looks great, then they look at the inside pictures like, oh my God, and they push, show me this house. That's what you want. You want as many saves and showings on your property the first day it goes on the market. So now I gave some of my secrets away, what you do. How do you implement it? Well, first you find your realtor advocate, right? The right real estate partner this person who is your partner is just a listing agent. That's all they do. They're strategic advisor, and they should be involved months or even years before you sell. They should bring them in. And if you're looking for an advocate, you need to find someone who really understands and wants to know about your long-term goals. They just don't want to list your house. Someone who comes in and tells you the truth, and they're brutally honest, not just what you want to hear. I tell people right away, I'm being brutally honest right now. And people are like, go ahead. Find someone who has a proven system for maximizing home values. That's what they do. That's what they do. They write a book about it. I have my book, The Home Selling Sharks. I've written all over that what I do. And make sure they are a good resource for finding contractors for quality work at fair prices. Make sure they're doing quality work, but not as expensive. So once you got your agent, then you can create your strategic timeline, all right? And develop a custom timeline working backward from your ideal sale date, allowing time to do these things. So the initial assessment is first. That's what I talked about earlier, that room by room review where you go through each room, you get your estimates, you schedule the work to be done once you get the estimates, right? You have your pre-listing inspection. What's a pre-listing inspection? Well, I've done a whole video about it. Check here if you want to find out about what's in a pre-home inspection and why you should do one and all that stuff. It's a great video. And then we have professional staging consultation. That's next. And I have a whole video about that. You want to click here. And next we have professional photography and market preparation. I've got tons of videos about, almost every one of my videos I talk about getting your pictures of your home on the outside way before and put them in your computer, save them so you have beautiful pictures no matter when you go in the market. But the most important stage here in process, and the most important phase I want to call it, is the critical phase is the estimate phase. You don't proceed with any improvements until you have firm numbers for cost, and it could change if you're doing them later versus sooner. Labor, that could, always get a couple quotes. Timeframes for completion. Make sure they match your timeline. Expected return on each improvement. I do what's called an ROI analysis. And, I evaluate each potential improvement asking, what's the cost? What's the return? How important is this to today's buyers? And is there a less expensive alternative that achieves the same goal? And then I look at financing options. If budget's a concern, I offer my clients a line of credit. They just pay the interest on it. Or maybe you can get a line of credit against your house. My clients love our specialized fix-up loan because it's designed just for pre-sale improvements, and the bank loans it to me, and then that you pay as a client the interest. Contractors sometimes have payment plans, very rare, and you can also pay for improvements from proceeds at closing. Some contractors will wait, but very few. But the pre-listing inspection strategy that I do that benefits home sellers by getting their home inspected, it allows you to address issues on your timeline, not the buyer's timeline. So you can shop around for the best prices rather than taking the first available contractor. That's why I do the pre-home inspection. So I do all these things because the whole purpose of doing a home inspection is disclosing known issues up front. And then that reduces your chance of these agreements falling through. And buyers feel more comfortable buying your house. So that's an important part of the process. And then you got to prepare for your photo and your marketing preparation before listing your house. You got to create that plan for what needs to be removed, arranged, or added. What repairs do you need to do to things for marketing? Then we have to do the strategy for the key rooms, which I talk about, the bathrooms, the kitchen, the seasonal considerations, lighting, and then developing that coming soon marketing to build the anticipation. So I've kind of done all these things. I have a ton of videos that can show these different things that I do if you're interested in that, because the bottom line is the bottom line. When you sell as is, you're essentially giving the buyer a discount for the work that they'll need to do, but it's usually a much bigger discount than the actual cost of the work. So if you do these strategic improvements, it allows you to capture that value instead of giving it away. I mean, your home is your largest asset. You wouldn't sell your stock without a strategy, or you wouldn't sell your car without a nice wash, Your home deserves the same strategic approach, in my mind, to maximize its value. Because long-term thinking is important. Remember, the process should start 6 to 12 months before selling. I like 12. So if you're even considering then selling in the next year or two, now's the time to begin planning. So what can you do? You can schedule your room by room, collecting ideas of the homes you admire online in your neighborhood. And maybe you can get some ideas of what to do in your house. Begin decluttering, never too early to start that. And then come to my home seller workshops where I do a real deep dive on all this stuff. And our next workshop is going to be either May 14th or June 11th. I'm waiting to hear. but check back on my channel here, on my website, to know what the dates are going to be. But finally though, if you're selling your home, which is one of your largest investments, you don't want to leave money on the table, and you don't want to do that, I did this great video. You need to watch it now if you are a future home seller. You want to make sure you do this. Watch this video, or your home will sit for months and you'll lose thousands, okay? Check this one out, okay? Because of inadequate preparation and terrible planning, wrong improvements, and you want to make sure you have the right real estate advocate to make sure you don't do all these things. You want to maximize your return while minimizing your stress. Now, I did promise that I would give you the 5 top questions, or the frequently asked questions about this topic. Should I sell with or without as is, or doing repairs? If you'd like to stay on, I will give those answers to you and the questions. So what if I absolutely can't make the repairs, Diane? So if you truly cannot make the repairs due to like a financial or time constraint, we can still maximize your outcome by being strategic on how we price the home, being completely transparent about the condition in the marketing. Marketing is really important. And you can target investors or renovations, ready buyers, and just consider like alternative sale methods. Now, doing it this way, you will net less than with strategic improvements. Now, I had this property on 369 Sylvania Avenue. You couldn't even see the house from the street. It needed an investor in there. It needed a realtor who's done a lot of these. And here's a picture of the outside, which you couldn't even see. So the house is behind these trees. And then what I did with it after, well, the investor did after, and I sold that for him. It's an amazing house. Second question I get is, how do I know which colors to choose? This is exactly where a real estate professional helps, at least for myself. I stay really current on the color trends that appeal to the broadest range of buyers. That's the idea. Light gray beige tones are basically universally appealing. Make sure you get the right one. I have Revere pewter that I use. I use baby fawn and accessible beige. Those are the things I use. But basically, you want to take colors that match your home style, your lighting, other factors, you know. So what I also like is all rooms being the same color. Here's pictures of 40 of this house that I did in White Marsh, and in every room, as you can see, is the same color paint. Check out this room. Kitchen, bed, and all the rooms, all boom, boom. Keep flighting through these pictures. They're all the same color, all throughout the house. It works. That's what model homes do. That's why I wrote the book, Model Home Mindset. Third question is, what's the minimum I should do if I'm on a tight budget? Well, if your budget is extremely limited, I would say prioritize. Exterior curb appeal, landscaping, power washing, your front door, fresh paint in the main living areas, lighting updates in high impact areas, deep cleaning. I'd say cleaning is probably thorough cleaning inside your windows, inside behind the walls. No more cobwebs, down in the basement. Wipe down your heater, wipe down your water heater, wipe down all the walls, all the, I'm looking at my basement, I'm like, I need to start doing that in my basement. I got some cobwebs up there. That's what you want to do. It's minimal investment, it's just your time. Next question, number 4, how do I find trustworthy contractors? Well, that's the key benefit of working with a top-notch real estate consultant. Like myself, I have those. I maintain relationships with my reliable contractors. They understand the needs of pre-sale improvements, and they don't take other jobs unless they know I don't have a job for them. And they're constantly working with me. And the contractors, they get referrals. The clients refer them to other people or refer them to paint their next house or do something for them. So I basically coordinate and oversee all the work to ensure they meet my standards. That's going to appeal to buyers. And contractors that I teach them to know the difference between perfect and market ready, and basically saves you from spending too much money. You don't want to do that. And lastly, what about issues, like major issues, like the roof or HVAC? I get that question asked all the time. Major systems require a case-by-case evaluation, is all I have to say. Sometimes it makes sense to replace or repair, a roof or a heater before listing. Most of the time, no. I offer credits. Unless it's leaking, then you have a problem. Buyer can do it whatever they want. They can get their own roof, their own heater. It really depends upon your local market, the age and condition of your systems and your roof, and the buyer's expectations in this price range. Another place where a really good, knowledgeable real estate advocate helps you make the right financial decisions. So there it is. It's a long video. Hope you liked it, but I think I was very thorough, and I'm going to take my little thing, and hopefully you saved some money and didn't flush it down the drain. So don't forget to watch my next video. If you're a future home seller, you want to make sure you do this or your home will sit for months and you'll lose thousands.